Welcome to the Pool and Around Show. My name is Sean King. My partner Chris Wilmuth and I have been interviewing the best pool players, pool room owners, cue makers, anything to do with pool all around our country. So if you like this video, please subscribe and share it on your page. So without further ado, I want to introduce Cotton, also known as Robert Leblanc or Bobby, or maybe some other names we don't know about you, but let's just say definitely our first hustler on the show, but he's a legendary hustler, and he's even written books about it and helped make movies about it that you're going to hear about in a moment that you've heard of. And he's a really special guy. He's very entertaining. And if you have any questions for him, please type them in the comments below, and we'll do a follow-up and get them answered.
Welcome to the show, Robert.
Hey, what's up, man?
Not much. Is it hot out there as it is here?
Well, it's cooling down. Today's 105 today. It's been 115 for the last month, so it's terrible here right now. I don't like it, but it's a dry heat, so it's okay.
You're making us dizzy, Cotton.
I'm sorry, what?
You gotta hold the phone still yeah.
I'm sorry. There we go. I'm sorry. I got it.
It's all right.
Okay. All right, good. You're good.
So I've read your book, and I've asked you questions about, coming through Lawton and playing, or coming in this area and playing Junior Norris. And then there was a guy that lived in Lawton that played even better than Junior. His name was Troy Enzi. They called him the Milkman.
Didn't know him.
Didn't know him. And there's an Indian guy here that played real good named Dale Cable.
I didn't know him either. Did you know the Driller?
Yeah, he passed away a few years ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. He was a person down do pretty well. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah. We got a couple. Do you want to hear a little story about Oklahoma City?
Yes, please.
1970, I was hanging around with Weldon Rogers, and we decided to go to Oklahoma City, and I was going to play Hitchcock some on a bar table, Norman Hitchcock, right? And about 6 months prior to this, he had just wanted to start us open. So me and Weldon go to Oklahoma City to Chester's pool room, and you walk in the door, and there's a little room to the left with a bar table. It had two bar tables in that little room. It was right to the left when you walked in the door.
Right.
So Hitchcock is there. So me and Norman play 10 ahead for 2,000. This is 1970, so that was giant money then, right? So we flip for the break, playing on the bar table with the small ball because he wouldn't play me with the big ball. So I win the match in like 45 minutes, and everybody's there. Buddy Hall's there, Buddy Hall was there. Don Watson was there, and who else? Eddie Burton was there. A lot of good players from back in the day. So I win the match in like 45 minutes, 10 ahead, right? So now the match was over, and Weldon says, and he'll admit to this, he says, Robert, he says, we're going to play another match. We're going to like double the bet. We're going to bet like 5,000. I said, that's good. He said, but you got to take these pills to play the match. I said, wait a minute. I said, I'm playing as good as I can play, and I don't take any drugs. He said, well, he crushed up like 4 or 5 pills in his hand. He says, just take these out of my hand and eat them. And he said, I'm putting the money up so to eat these pills. I said, okay. So I took these pills, and now we're playing 15 ahead for 5,000. Hitchcock gets about 5 games ahead, playing 15 ahead. Now the whole pool room starts laying 2-1 on the money. So we bet another 5,000. Now we're playing for 10,000. This is 1970. We're betting $10,000. And I'm telling you the truth. I get down and stroke the cue like 100 times, get back up and down. I couldn't run 3 balls if you put a gun in my head. It was the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. Oh, dude. So he wins the match. So anyway, we come up losing several $1,000s on that match. But I still did it. To this day, I blame Weldon because if I wouldn't have taken them pills, I probably would have won the second match. But, Hitchcock was a great player. So right after we played, the next day I watched Buddy play him. Buddy Hall played Hitchcock, and Buddy give him the last 2 on the bar table with the small ball, and they had to play 2 sessions. So Buddy won the first session, and then they was going to play another one. Was their agreement, and Hitchcock started winning, and it went back to even on that set. And Buddy paid off to quit. He paid $500 just to pull up. They didn't finish the session.
Second session.
No, he didn't. Well, Buddy never missed a ball for like 5 years, but he just for some reason didn't want to play the second session. It was kind of weird.
That is a good story.
Yeah.
That's about the time John Guffey was playing about around then too, wasn't he?
They're the same age.
No, I don't know him. No.
Well, John Guffey. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't know who that was. No.
Well, John Guffey was he was a well-known one-pocket player, but then he was a well-known cue maker.
Really? I didn't know who that was. No.
When you looked in old magazines and you saw the $99 Hustler cue, that was John Guffey. That was his thing.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's cool. But that was in the good old days. Back then, the good old days, I don't know what makes it so different. I have an idea why it's different now than it was back then. Because, back then when I started traveling playing pool when I was 15, and I first went to Dallas, and I never will forget. I was in Dallas at the Cotton Palace, and that's where all the gamblers hung around, and all the good players, and all the gangsters, and a lot of gangsters hung around this one pool room. So I went in there one night, and guess who's in there? I was starstruck. Greg Stevens was there. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah.
From Wichita. Right.
Well, yeah, he opened a pool hall there in Wichita, and he died there. But he was hanging around Houston for probably 20 years playing. He beat everybody ever come to Houston. Great player. And anyway, so I remember when he was at the Cotton Palace in Dallas, I'm like, oh my God, I was so excited because back then. What was more exciting is kind of like that, like those Clint Eastwood westerns. Nobody could get a picture of anybody, and everybody was like mysterious. Like you'd see these people, like, oh, who's that? And you never got to see him except one time. You might bump into him somewhere.
Right.
Yep.
So it was really cool.
We've got some planned questions for you, but obviously with you, we want to hear stories. I mean, you're a great storyteller, and you actually get paid to do that. And you're a commentator on, I don't know, all my girlfriends have known your voice because I'm listening to some commentary and you're talking about how they shot the wrong shot on the bar table. And it.
Oh, no, I got in trouble. I stayed in trouble. Me and Jay Helford, Jay kept getting me in trouble because he'd say something and I'd feed off of that and he'd feed off of me, and we was always in trouble. One time, I got in trouble when Justin Bergman played the match, and me and Jay was commentating, and I'm telling you, I forgot he was playing, but he walked around the table like 30 times before every shot, and I said, dude, I can't watch much more of this. It's killing me. So he got mad about it, and we made up and kissed and made up. We're friends, but he wasn't like he didn't like what I was.
I remember you saying, "What is he doing? What is he doing?" And
it was terrible, dude. It was terrible.
Happened? You know what happened after that?
What?
I went and asked him what he was doing.
You did? Yeah. Well, I ran into him, and he was walking down the hallway at the casino with him and Rob Size, and I walked up to him. I said, "Hey, dude, I heard you was mad at me." And he says, "Well, I didn't like what you were saying." I said, "Well, all you got to do is go back and watch the match, and you'll see why I said what I was saying. It was horrible. I don't know what was wrong with him, but and this on an easy table too. He's like straight in the hole. He'd walk around. It was like terrible."
Well, he's been one of my favorite players for a long time, and he's always been just really open to talk to me if I asked him anything. And I said, "What are you doing when you're, I don't know, can you see me? You're doing this,
yeah.
And then you're doing this." Well, he's building a zone, okay? This is probably one of the coolest pool lessons I ever got in 10 seconds. He's building a left and a right limit like a fairway in golf where he can continue the run from. So instead of I just need to get here or here, when he's doing that cue thing, imagine like cutting a pizza slice, and that's his target.
It was amazing to watch.
Wow.
And then I stayed in trouble. Me and Billy and Cardone was doing the match, and I think he's one of my favorite commentators of all time. I love Billy, right? So we're doing the match. And it was with the Copine Chi or whatever his name is, right? So me and Billy, it was kind of one of the first times they played here, so we couldn't remember his name. And I told Billy, I said, "I can't remember his name." And Billy says, "It's Kung Pao Chicken," something like that. And you would not believe everybody in AZ Billiards is cussing us out. Like, what are you racist guys doing, talking about Kung Pao and all that? I said, dude, we were just making fun. We were having a good time. Because neither one of us are racist.
We only have like 1,500 subscribers, and 1,000 of them are Asian. So,
yeah. Thanks to Jay's interview.
Yeah. So anyway,
okay. Right. I want to ask a couple generic questions before we get into the stories. So, Chris, what's on our basic list here that we got to ask?
Well, generally it's what got you into pool? What got you interested in pool?
Well, that's a great question, because when I was 13, my father died of a heart attack in my front yard of my house, and I saw that happen. So I was really depressed for like a long time, like a year or two. I just didn't want to talk to anybody. So I started hanging around this bowling alley.
What age?
I was 13 when this happened.
Okay.
So I went to start hanging in this bowling alley. And back then, all the action, all the pool tables was in the bowling alleys, right? So I went to this bowling alley, started playing pool. And by the time I was 15, I was actually playing pretty good. I was like one of the best players in Memphis at the time. Then I got to hang around with a guy named Richard Austin, who's nicknamed the Memphis Flash, who is in my book. Have you read my book?
I have. Yes, I have it.
Richard was a guy that died on death row, and we become really good friends. He kind of took me under his wing, and he was probably 10 years older than me, which seemed a lot older when you're 15, 25 is old, right? So I got to hang with him for a while, and he made me bet like 10 times more money than I was used to betting, because he liked to gamble real high. And he had me playing 40, 50 a game when I was 15 back in 1965. So that's like $1 million now. So, but that's how I got started. And then I started making money right away. I was playing pretty good at the time, but back then back then in Memphis, in 1965 in Memphis, there was probably 10 pool rooms. And every pool had like 20 guys in there that played 9-ball for money. Everybody played, and they didn't ask you for the 5 and the break and this and all that. They played even. Nobody asked for nothing, So it was good. It was good back in the day, I'll tell you.
So there's no way you would ever taken a job.
A job?
Yeah.
A job? No, no. Well, when I turned 17, I was in a car wreck and killed my 2 friends. And I was in the hospital for like a year and a half or so. And when I got out, I just started traveling and playing pool. I had 2 jobs that lasted like a day each, and I didn't like the job, and then I did have a job for a while when I was 40ish at a magazine in LA, which was good, but I've always been my own boss. I've always made money, talk about hustlers and stuff. Listen, I've played every living human. I played Matlock. I played Salazar. I played every living human even. I played a lot of chumps on the way too.
That's the words that Jim McDermott a couple weeks ago gave us an interview at his house, and he said he played every living human. He traveled across this country more times back and forth than anyone else. What he said?
Who? He said he did that, or who?
He said Jim said Robert did.
You did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I played everybody. Yeah, I played everybody. I played everybody even, and I mean I played everybody. And I beat a lot of these guys playing even. I probably outrun the nuts, but I played good and won. I played bad, of course, and lost to weaker players before, as everybody has. But I played pretty good. I'm pretty proud of the few people I beat. Like believe it or not, I beat Larry Hubbard in 1970 on the 4.5 by 9, and Larry Hubbard played as good as Buddy. I was never supposed to win ever in life, and he come to Memphis and I busted him. And I played Beatty in Memphis several times, and but I always preferred playing on bar tables because you can just run a lot of racks. And those big table players, they didn't want to fade that. You run 8, 9, 10 racks on them. They don't like it. They want to shoot every game. So bar tables is where all the action was.
So would you say that what percentage of your winnings came from the bar table versus a 9-footer or bigger?
Shoot, I'm probably 90% most on the bar tables. I got to play in pretty good one pocket along the way, and I trapped a lot of bar table players playing. You ever heard of Eugene Browning? He's from Georgia, I think. He
You're
played as good as anybody.
I'm 37.
Oh, this is before he was born, dude. Yeah. Eugene Browning was in the top 3 bar players in the world. Talk about the one pocket. And I run into him in Huntsville, Alabama. And I asked him for the 8, and he said, no, I wouldn't have played him even though I was kind of short of money. So I said, I'll tell you what, I played some straight pool, which I didn't want to. He comes right back with the one pocket. I took him to the pool room. He's still around. He's still alive. He's like my age. And I beat him like 10 in a row playing one pocket. He couldn't play at all. Because most bar table players back then played horrible one pocket. You know, a few of them played okay, but a lot of them didn't play good, you know, so it was kind of.
A guy that's 70, he's same age as you. His name's Lizard.
Eugene.
I know Lizard. I know Steve Smith.
I played him one
Do you
pocket
know the Lizard?
for 7 hours.
Who you did?
I played him, last night for 7 hours.
Mention my name. I know him really well. I'll tell you something. How'd y'all play? Was y'all playing even?
I don't want to knock our action, but yeah, I played him real cheap, and we played even. He won one game after 7 hours.
He won one game? What? Good Lord, dude. I'll tell you one thing.
Every single time I was at the table, I had to figure out a puzzle, and it was.
Well, you got to play really. I don't know how you got to play good, because I tell you, at one time he played real good, and maybe he still does. I know he's my age.
He run like 3 balls.
Well, he's old. I mean, us old guys, we can't run the balls. We got to duck. But I tell you one thing. In his career, he's probably been beat to it only 2 or 3 times in his life. He's a pretty sharp guy, I tell you.
He's a genius. But here's what I asked him about you. He said that guy was the real deal. And he just says what's on his mind, kind of like you, but probably in another level. He'd just say he has a lot of respect for you. And I was talking to him last night, and he said, yeah, he played every living human. He just traveled one way everywhere and beat everybody. Like,
well,
how did you match up that good, or did you just literally walk in and ask everybody to play?
Believe me when I tell you, I was raised with the smartest guys on the planet. I was raised in the South. It's where the jar originated. Everybody was jarring everybody back then. And I was raised with Richard Austin, who died on death row, who knew it. He was one of the sharpest guys ever to be in the pool world. Him and Sonny Springer, who was a friend of mine, who I played in one pocket a couple of times years ago. And everybody just – I played a lot. I played everybody. And, of course, I've been beat. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys that's beat me that I never got to play again, you know. And I got lucky and beat a lot of good players. I played well, no, I tell you a couple of guys that beat me pretty easily. Well, just because I played Toby Sweet from Florida. You know, you've heard of him?
I have.
I've heard him, and I've watched him on YouTube once.
Dude, let me tell you, he come to Memphis, and I played him some Memphis 1970, 71 for $30 a game, which was a pretty good bet back then. I played him on the shimmed up Gold Crown. He broke and run 13 racks on me and busted me on a shimmed up Gold Crown, dude. And this is true. He'd give Mizrak the 8 and beat him. I mean, that's Toby, because Toby was a champion. But he was has a little added help to play that, like most players did back then, you know. But I played everybody. I liked it. I got stories. One of my funnier stories is when I played Junior Norris. That was a cool story. I went to Wichita Falls. This was right after I played Hitchcock. I was like 20 years old. So Junior was beating everybody there on that 3x6. So I got there and played him. And this is so cool. Was playing a race to 11 for $500, right? So he has me 9-7, and I run that set out to win that. In the next set, I broke and run 11 racks on him. It's on the 3x6. I broke and run 11 racks on him on the 3x6, and they're kind of hard to play on because the balls get tied up, right? So after I run the 11 racks for the 500, he took the cue and stuck it in the ceiling and broke it off in half in the ceiling. Yeah. But we became good friends. We become good friends after that. He was a good player. I'll tell you something. On the 3x6, he beat a lot of good players coming through that place. He was tough.
I'm going to get one of those. That would, fit in my house.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was you that I asked if you knew a while back. Asked if you knew Larry Humphreys from Duncan.
No, I didn't know.
Okay.
I don't know him.
Okay. All right. Somebody has
Okay.
Good.
So I read an interview online. It's really great. It's by Freddie Bendevega's son. I don't know his name, but it says PhD. You know what I'm talking about, Cotton?
No.
Well, there's an interview that's been done with you on their site. Anyway, they ask you questions and you tell them, you talk about everything from the pool hall junkies to growing up. You go over a lot of stuff. Did you know Freddie Bentavega?
Real well. And I'll tell you about Freddie. We used to play one pocket for $50 a game. This is like in the early 80s, which is a decent bet back then. And we played at the billiard cafe. And he's the funniest guy that's ever lived in life playing pool. And I'll tell you something. He played pretty. He beat me a couple of times. He played good. He never played like Artie, who's probably one of the greatest one pocket players ever, Artie Bortendorfer. But Freddie was a good player. And I learned, he was a clown. He's goofy. I'm friends with his daughter. He's a good guy.
So most people that watch pool are people who want to improve at pool. Let's be real. Like when you're commentating on a stream, Cotton, most of the people who are watching you, they're either just pool fans for life, or they kind of want to get better. They want to shoot better. What would you say would be the best thing for them to watch? Because they're already a fan of watching stuff. Yep. To help their pool game.
I learned how to play by watching all the good players. I never had, because back in the day, nobody would show you anything. They wouldn't give you any information. So I was talking to my friend Kelly Isaac about that, about lessons and things. You can learn a lot by just watching good players and just copy what they do. It's easy. I learned how to play when I was like 14, 15 years old. And it's easy then because your body's limber. Because if you get to your 40s, it's kind of hard to change things around, to where you can play. But I don't know. I guess taking lessons from the right people, everybody gives lessons now. But if I was going to take lessons from somebody, if I was a young player, I'd make sure it was some guy that played really, really good. It wouldn't be
like 800 speed.
Yeah, it'd be somebody that played real good. So I don't know much about that Fargo 800, 700. That put a target on people's back, didn't it? I love it. I'm glad they did it.
All right, Chris.
Yeah.
Should we test out our new game on Cotton?
We can get there. We can get there.
You want to like this?
We can.
What's the new game?
Well, it's just you get 2 words. So we throw you a topic, and you've got 2 words to describe it, but you've only got 10 seconds to say those 2 words. Like if we said Fargo
ratings, and then you have 10 seconds and 2 words to give your take on it.
Bullseye on your. That's too many words. I don't know. I guess it's a good thing. I don't know. I don't like it, to tell you the truth. I don't like it. Listen, back in the day, now you go and pull now. What's your Fargo rate? $6.50. I'll play you some. $6.20. Whatever. Back in the day, you muscled up, got up there and played and bet your money. You couldn't get on the phone, ask anybody how they played. Nobody would knock anybody. You get up there and play and bet your cash and see how you do. If you lose, adjust the game. But this Fargo rate, I don't know. It kind of knocked everything. But there's not much going on anymore anyway. To tell you the truth,
You don't need a spot list anymore, do you?
No, I still have a book. I still have a book from like the 60s I saw here last week. I found in my drawer. Yeah, from all the places to go and stuff,
I take that to Pawn Stars. Take it to Pawn Stars. I bet it's worth some money.
Can I have that?
All these people are dead. They're all gone.
Have you Have you played Walter Glass much?
Never have, and he mentioned about playing me something about a year ago. Walter's he's a grinder. He plays good. I never played him ever, and I've been around him quite a bit. He never asked me to play. We never played. I don't know why. We just never did. I don't know why. But Walter's a good player. It takes a good player to beat him.
He used to come to Oklahoma a lot.
Yeah.
We've got several friends out here.
I'm one.
And then last I heard, of course, this was several years ago. I'm sure he's retired now, but he was a taxi driver out there. He played pool at night.
He was.
And drive taxi during the day.
But he still plays good when he gets out and starts playing. He still plays good. He plays all games good. He was going to play me some one pocket or banks, which I don't think he has a chance. But he'd play anyway. I think he would play anyway. I don't play too much anymore. I can get back and practice in a week or two, but I don't have the desire to. And I don't like to play for fun anyway. I like to play for I like the action.
Free poker is boring. Free poker is boring.
Yeah.
What's the other good player from Oklahoma City that played really great? What was his name?
James Walden.
Now or
yeah.
So the two best and the three best in Oklahoma would be Chip Compton, Shane McMinn, and Joey Gray.
Yeah, I think Walden played better than all of them. I think James Walden would have beat all of them for the money.
Well, that's current. Who was playing at the same time as James here?
At the same time would have been Gabe.
Yeah.
Would have been Mark.
Did you play James Cotton?
Walden? No.
Jeff Melton.
I remember him.
John Gabriel. Danny Harriman.
How about David Matlock?
Listen, me and Matlock are close friends, and I busted him playing even in his hometown, Mountain Grove, Missouri, in 1982. And I'm telling you, I played so good against him. I might not never had beat him again, but I beat him in Mountain Grove, Missouri, at a guy's house. They had that special table set up, and I went there and busted him. Playing dead even, dude. Playing dead even. And that's the honest to God true story. And we're really good friends, and I probably like his game as much as anybody I've ever seen. He's a great, great player. And I don't know how well you know him. I don't know him probably as well as maybe some people, but I know one thing. He's a good guy in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think Matlock he's a class act.
He's teaching at Shooters in Olathe, Kansas. And
yeah, he's a class act.
And I've talked to his granddaughter, and I talked to him trying to set up an interview with him. We just got to go up there to do it. So.
Yeah, he's a class act, and he plays all games good. He plays good billiards. He plays good one pocket. He plays everything good.
So here's
something. When he was,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. When he was playing in Ponca City, nobody beat him. I guess the one person that beat him, I couldn't believe beat him, and I don't know how it happened. But Larry Hubbard went there and beat him. I don't know how. Not that it couldn't happen, but he doesn't figure to beat him. I don't think, but he did. But that was pretty amazing.
Last night, I was saying who actually beat Matlock, and that was one of them, and he gave me one other one I forgot. But Hubbard won 40,000.
Yeah, I know Keith's played him a couple of times, McCready. But I like Matlock's game. I tell you what. There's back in the day, there was 4 or 5 guys that played bar tables with the big cue ball that played so good that it was crazy. Boston Joy was one who here's a funny story. I'm Joey in Tupelo, Mississippi. This is like 1978, 77 around there. And so I was broken. I had a backer. So we're playing on a Valley bar table for $30 a game, which was a decent bet back in the mid 70s, right? So we flipped for the break. We're playing push out back then, which is 10 times better game than one foul. Stupid game. Anyway, Joey breaks and runs 13 racks without me shooting. In the 14th game, he misses. He makes a 9 and scratches, right? So I got to shoot a spot shot for the 9 ball. It looked like I was banking at 4 rails. I missed it like 6 inches. And then after that was over, they were going to kill me. They said I was dumping. I said, dude, I shot once in 14 games. How am I dumping? You know, so. But the other players that played good back then was, of course, my favorite player of all times on the bar table, even more than Matlock, was Wade Crane. He played so good it was stupid. I mean, he's probably you know who, probably by Billy Johnson maybe, but have you ever heard of Wade Crane?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
he played so good. I played him in California in 1970. He ran 16 racks on me on the bar table. Can you imagine? But he played perfect, and he was a great guy and a great player. And of course, you got Salazar, another guy that played good, and Boston Joey, and Erman Bullard played good on the big ball from Texas. You know,
that was who else beat Matlock. Is that true?
Erman?
Yeah, he was the other one.
Who? Erman Bullard?
Yep.
Is that who?
Oh, dude, he played good.
Is that who
he's back.
About?
He's still playing. Erman's still playing. Yeah. He was in jail for a while. Erman was, but he's out now, and he's I know him really well. He's a great player. Yeah, we played once in a long time ago.
Coy Nicholson was another guy that played in this area back.
I knew. Yeah, me and Coy's good friends. I got a great story about Coy. So me and the guy's dead now. His name's Joe Rocha. He's a Mexican player. So I beat Joe a couple of times playing on the bar table, but he played good. So we were in Dallas, and Joe, we said, let's go play Coy some. We got like $800 bankroll. And he's, let's go play Coy some. I said, okay. So we go over there, and they call Coy up. And we eaten breakfast before, so Joe takes all these pills, his speed. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, I want to play first. I said, no, let me play him first because I'm playing a little better than you are right now. Let me play him first. And he said, no, I want to play first. So we get to the bar. Coy's coming down. So Joe orders a beer. I said, what are you doing? It's like 10 o'clock tomorrow. I said, what are you doing? He says, well, I took too many pills. I'm trying to make myself kind of wind down. Coy comes in the bar. We're playing $50 a game. That's a lot of money. This is like 76, 77. He beats us like 15 games in a row. Joe couldn't run 3 balls. We had like 3 barrels left. And of course, I didn't get to play because we was out of money. But Coy played good too. He's another guy. He's a good player.
Yeah.
But he beat us all.
He's going to be here in Oklahoma City this weekend. I'm not sure, but
who Joe is?
Well, there's the ICCS here in Oklahoma City. It's the International Q and Case Show. It's like all the guys with the huge Q collections and the makers come here.
Me and Joe were like the best of friends ever. And did you know? I don't know if you read my book, but I played him in California. This is really funny. So I played him in Glendale, California. It's this hillbilly bar. This is like 1971. And Joe was beating everybody. He beat another great player was Big Sergio, who's dead now, but he was probably one of the top 10 in the world playing on the bar table with the big ball. So Joe's beating him. He's beating everybody he plays. So he plays me, and he didn't realize, and I was playing pretty good. I just got done beating Cole and a couple other guys. So I bust him, and while these damn phone calls, while me and Joe were playing, this big old hillbilly starts bothering him. So Joe says, he says, leave me alone, dude. I'm losing my money. I'm gambling. I don't want you to mess with me. So the guy kept it up. Joe lays his cue on the table, punches this big hillbilly in the jaw, knocks him out, and the guy's laying on the floor. So we continued playing. So I wound up winning all the money, and we quit. So about a year or two later, or maybe 4 years later, I run into Joe in Chicago, in Waukegan. He was playing there. And Joe beat everybody that's ever walked in the door. He's like, nobody could beat him. He played as good as anybody alive, right? So I go in the bar, and he says, come on, let's play some more. I said, nope. I said, I can't beat you here. I said, you beat everybody that comes in the door. So he stakes these 3 guys to play me one at a time. He staked Willie Munchin, the black guy from Milwaukee. I beat him 20 games. You ever heard of him? You ever heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
So he stakes Willie to play me on the bar table 50 a game. I beat him 20 games in a row for 1,000. Joe pulls him up. He staked another guy named Denver Joey, who was a gangster kind of guy who played pretty good. And I beat him like up 1,000. So I beat Joe for like 2,000 or 3,000, betting he's backing these other players, right? So the funny part about it was, so he says, "Come on, let's play." I said, "No, Joe, you play too good." So I already beat him playing even in California, but whatever. So I go to the bathroom. I'm in the bathroom taking a leak, and he comes in the bathroom. He says, "Robert," he says, "you got to do me a favor." I says, "What?" He says, "You got to play me some for 20 a game to where I can show all these people that I can beat you." Because he was losing his reputation. And I'm laughing. And he's 3,000 stuck wanting to play me for 20 a game just to beat on me in the bar, you know. But I'll tell you something, Joe is one of my favorite people of all times. He's a really good dude. And I'm gonna tell you something, he played good too.
Yeah.
You know, I did play him again. I did play him about 4 years later in Mississippi, in Greenville, Mississippi. And I had a backer named Buckwheat, and we played for about 3 hours, and we were even, and I pulled up. I quit. I seen it wasn't looking good. I was playing as good as I could.
Salazar always so soft spoken?
No, dude, he was a little fighter, dude. He
Really?
took no. He was a tough little guy. You get him chased. He don't like to talk about it because you know he's real religious, you know, now and everything. But he's a real deal with his beliefs. He's a real deal, and he was tough, dude. He'd fight in a heart. He'd knock that guy out when we were playing, and he was twice his size. Joe would fight in a heartbeat. I'm telling you, and he was tough. He's only like 5'6", but he was tough, dude. He was real stocky, and he could fight like he was a tough dude. He would fight you in a minute, but he's always been a really good dude. You know, we've been friends forever. You know.
Yep.
Okay, can we talk about Pool Hall Junkies? And then Chris has a question that we've asked at least the last 5 people about you casting some people in a movie. But I'll let him ask the question. But I want to talk about Pool Hall Junkies.
Okay.
Whatever you want to say.
Okay.
I have a lot to say about it. I'll tell you. And if you hit me with that question, I'll tell you what it's a couple of interesting things.
Okay. So if you were casting a new movie, if you were casting The Color of Money, all right, one, who would you pick right now? Has to be a pool player. Who would you pick?
Question.
Yeah. Who would you pick to play Fast Eddie?
Okay.
Oh, Lord. Well, you know, I didn't cast the people for Pool Hall Junkies either, by the way. I don't know if that's what you was thinking, but that wasn't my doing. But if I did with the Fast Eddie thing, you mean the Paul Newman character?
What pool player alive today would play the backer Fast Eddie?
Oh, boy, let me think. Good Lord.
Your movie, you got all the money you need, and I think you know what the next question is going to be.
God, I'm just drawing a blank. I don't. Maybe Billy and Cardone.
Hey.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Billy's one of the smartest guys that ever played pool in life. I'll tell you that right now. And he's a good player, and he's triple smart. So he might be, and he's a good character, and he's a good looking guy, you know, and so he might be a good one.
Yeah, he'd be a great actor.
I think that's perfect.
And then go ahead.
Who would play Tom Cruise's part?
Vince.
Oh, Lord.
Got to be a little flaky, right?
Yeah, it's got to be. And there's not many of those guys around anymore. There's not. That's a problem with pool now. I mean, there's not that many characters like there used to be, like Cornbread Red, on and on and on. You know, and Pagalion's a character, but he couldn't play that part. I mean, but let me think. You know, I don't know. I'd have to think about it for a while. I really don't know.
As far as the personality, I think Billy Thorpe would make a great Tom Cruise part.
Yeah, because he's a character. Yeah, he's a character. He'll get out there and act like a nutcase, and there's no doubt about it. That's a good choice. I didn't think about him, but that's
a good-looking, fearless dude. You know?
He'd have to grow his mullet back, though.
Yeah. No, that's a good choice because he's a character. He was here at this last Moscone Cup, and he's out there wearing all his goofy clothes and wearing wigs and stuff. He's a character, so that's a good choice. That's a good choice.
All right, go ahead, Sean.
Okay, so on Pool Hall Junkies, I did read and listen to some of the interviews you've done in the past, and you've explained that you've worked with Pool Hall Junkies. But can you explain exactly what you did? Just break it down for us.
Well, here's. I'm sorry. Go ahead. And for what you mean for the movie?
Yeah.
Well, here's what happened. Chris Corso and Mars Callahan used to hang around the pool room. Mars was like 19. He's the one that played Johnny in the movie, the pool player. And Chris, he was the bartender that said, you know, whatever. So him and Mars wrote the movie, and they based the movie on all of my stories that I have in my book now. A lot of the stories, and then when they had the script made, was real similar to my book, which it should have stayed that way because they didn't. And they would opt out the script to different production companies. And every time they did, the production company say, well, we might buy the script for blah, blah, how much money, but you got to change this, you got to change that, you got to change this. So the script went from being a lot about my life to what it is now, which was completely different. And that's why I wrote the book. Anyway, so they had me giving lessons to. Well, a quick story. Rick Schroeder played the main guy, and Rick from Silver Spoon. Ricky Schroeder, right? So
yeah,
he came to L.A. and I met him at the pool hall there, and I said, "Have you ever played pool?" He said, "I've never hit a ball in my life." I said, "Well, that's okay. I can have you in shape in like a couple, 2 or 3 weeks." He says, "I got 2 hours." I said, "Dude, you got 2 hours?" He said, "That's all." I said, I said, "There's nothing I can do in 2 hours." And luckily, I got him to make an open hand bridge and could draw the ball a little bit. But that's why he looked so horrible in the movie. And the movie, was could have been better if it had been based on what it started with. It would have been better. A lot of people didn't like it. There's a lot of things I didn't like about it. It's like a cult movie,
that's not a pool player, but Bobby, every single person that I show that's not a pool player loves that movie. It's the pool players, I think, that want it to be real,
Do you remember Scott Lee, the one that was an instructor that just died recently, that pool instructor guy, the coach? Mm-hmm. He was you know him or not, but he got real shitty on AZ Billiards, ragging on me, saying, well, they hired Robert Leblanc and he didn't know what he was doing, or they didn't care. I said, let me tell you something. I said, here's how this went. Chaz Palminteri and Christopher Walken charged Mars $50,000 each to star in that movie. They're like $1 million actors, so they weren't getting paid nothing. So when they did a scene, let's say did a scene and Christopher Walken was doing something or whatever what it was, and I thought they should have said something different, which they should have a few times. I couldn't say stop and redo the scene because it'd say, go fuck, we're not, we're doing how we want to do it, and you got no say so. So a lot of that went on during the movie because I couldn't say anything. I know what to do. I've been around pool for 100 years. but I couldn't say anything about it. So they kind of, and when it came to editing the movie, they took out a lot of good things and repeated a lot of trick shots, and they screwed the movie up as far as being a good pool movie. But like I say, a lot of young people like it because it's a silly ass movie.
I think it's great for the game of pool. My new wife, I just got married this last weekend. She's going to watch Pool Hall Junkies tonight when we get done with this. So.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Whether she likes it or not.
But it was fun to do. I hung out with those guys for like a month. We filmed the movie in Salt Lake City, where it was filmed. Like 90% of the other was filmed in LA. But it was a lot of fun to do. I hung out with those guys, and Christopher Walken, he's a strange guy, and Chaz, who I get to be pretty good friends with him, he's a nice guy, and the whole thing was it was really fun. I really enjoyed doing it. So, but they could have done better. Like the last scene when guys, he's shooting the ball and he hooks himself on the 8, and all he do is roll up on this. Did you see the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's Toupee Jay Helford, or what's that?
Yes. Yeah. That was Jay Helford. Yeah. Toupee Jay. Yeah. I can't remember the guy's name that played in the movie, but that's
Toupee Jay is kind of a bad guy in the movie,
Yeah. Toupee Jay. I've known him for a million years. Yeah, he's a good guy. And then, of course, you had Mike Massey in there talking about, hey, Shorty, here's the thing with the pool movies. You cannot have pool players star in a movie. because let me tell you something. If you think you can act, I got news for you. You can't. You know, it's not. It's just